What is up, everybody? I am Darby Ellis Lewis Wilson. This is my buddy Chris Anonymous, and we are going to schlock the halls with boughs of holly. Is that how that goes? Boughs of holly, or is it bells of holly? Holy. Bells of holy.
Boughs of holly.
I never knew the words. I just made them up when I was a child. How's it going, Chris?
Branches of the holly tree. Good, sir. How are you?
I am doing just dandy. We are going to be talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night, tonight.
'Tis the season.
And I don't know. Do you have a lot to say about this? I think I might have a lot to say about it.
I have so much to say about this movie. Wow.
Sweet. Well, go ahead.
I told you last week I hadn't seen it, but that's a lie. About 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, I've seen this. I remember this, but I have not seen the unrated version. So,
yeah, I was trying to figure out what was extra in the unrated version, because I had seen this before as well. I don't know, a solid decade ago, if not more, maybe 15 years ago. There was some
extra stuff.
Well, there was definitely some stuff in it that looked like it was filmed like in a completely different movie. Yeah. But I was also like, that seems like odd stuff to cut out for a rated version, right?
Well, it might have been cut out for time, and they're like, well, if we're making an unrated, let's beef it up. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily follow that. Well,
and I was also trying to imagine what the version would be like without that extra stuff, because a lot of it is we're just kind of jumping right in. A lot of it is Billy's psychological torment, where he's like staring and
or it hangs for like an extra minute, 30 seconds on like one of the kills or something. All right, before we dive in, little controversy. Two things.
Lots of controversy.
Not in the movie. It's the 12 days of Christmas. Okay. Now believe, they start on Christmas and they end on 12th night, January 5th. So my question to you is, because we had talked about doing Christmas movies for the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing one more Christmas movie? What I choose tonight, or do we each have one more? Because there's 2 more Mondays, and it ends the Monday before January 5th, 12th night during the 12 days of Christmas.
Well, I feel like it should end with the month of December, and that's my personal hate of all things Christmas going or coming before or beyond Christmas. So
Christmas is beyond the month of December.
It is it.
Yeah, it starts on Christmas and it ends on 12th night.
I mean, the Christ Mass. I mean, it's just a mass that was combined with the feast of Saint Nicholas, who is a real person, by the way. And I don't think a lot of people actually understand it. Santa Claus is real.
The whole episode is just us arguing
about Christmas. Hey, man, it's the time of the year to do it.
Okay. So
what are you asking me? You want to pick 2 more Christmas movies?
I would pick tonight's. You would pick one for the 28th, I believe, and then
tonight we're doing Silent Night, Deadly Night. See,
right? But yes, for next week,
it's my bedroom.
We'll bring this up later. Let's get into it.
So this movie, there was a lot of controversy around the movie itself, because parents specifically are very invested in the illusion of Santa Claus. And so they did not like the depiction of Santa Claus as an axe murderer. I'm sure none of them actually saw the movie, which, had they seen the movie, they would have been absolutely correct. That is true. But they just saw I believe the cover art of it with the axe coming out of the chimney.
It felt like most of the hate was from the marketing. They just really, really touched a nerve in 84.
Well, and you got to remember that back then, right? No internet, there wasn't like targeted marketing. So you just had like a TV spot that ran on whatever channel. You had previews before other movies, and you had newspaper ads, and so that was just a widespread. Anybody could see it.
But evidently, the parents' campaign worked because it was pulled after 2 weeks in theaters.
Yes, it was pulled very quickly. So something interesting: the movie itself costs a little over $1 million to make during its time in the theater. So it was released around the same time. I think on the same release day as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Same date.
In its short amount of time in theaters, it made like $2.5 million. Had it not been pulled, there's an estimation that it would have made $20 million. Now that might be pie in the sky. I mean, it could have made 100 million, who's to say?
It could have been what Freddy Krueger became, maybe,
Yeah.
If
it wasn't for those mad mothers. So, let's move on. Some interesting characters in this that I like to mention. Just looking it up, we get a kind of guest appearance from Linnea. I think that's how you say her name, Linnea Quigley, who is a person that we might come across a few more times in our Schlock adventures here. She plays the punk Trash, I think her name is, in Return of the Living Dead. She's the red-haired gal that gets naked and dances on the graves. So she's been in quite a few things. Yeah, clearly she's not shy at all. But she's been in that. She's been in a few more notable Schlock movies, and I just want to give a big shout out right here. I'm sure it's been said before, but a big shout out to Will Hare, who is the man who played the grandpa at the very beginning.
Oh yeah.
Which that's a really great scene. And
it sets the tone for the movie.
And so we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the schlock. We have things written down in each column, certain bullet points for each subject. And if we're ready to jump into the good,
let's do it.
But I'll start with the good this time with Grandpa.
Okay.
I think that is such a good scene setter. That ain't Grandpa. That's Billy. But so I mean, the movie has a pretty strong intro, like regardless, with the killing of Billy's parents. That really sets up a big thing. But I feel like Grandpa is just a showstopper. He is like, I don't know about you, but I feel like that's like every kid's nightmare, to be like left alone with an old person that like is just like incredibly crazy. And he kind of looks like Santa Claus.
That's not Grandpa, that's Billy. Oh, you mean next to Billy? Yeah, that's Grandpa.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's little Billy, who's a very cute kid.
Yeah,
very long eyelashes, red lips.
This might be the creepiest scene in the movie.
Yeah, you think?
I mean, psychologically, yeah. It just sets the tone. I love the.
I could mess a kid up for sure.
It kind of, the beginning kind of reminded me of like the beginning of The Shining, where it's just a family in a car and it's this desolate isolation driving to a location, right? That's kind of strange and dark. So I loved that feel.
Yeah.
And with the grandpa and then driving home and the parents dying and
just driving a long way to get traumatized.
It felt
going
like
out of their way there.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. Like, you chose today to do it, and
is that me? Is that you?
I don't know. Man. I have it on silent.
Blowing up tonight.
Blowing up. Okay, so other thing. Do you have anything good, or you want me to toss in a couple, and then you can toss in a couple?
Yeah, let's hear some things for you. I got a couple more.
Okay, so I got a couple small ones that I'll throw in, and then you hit it, and then I got one big one that I want to talk about. So I think it's a good slasher. I think that's the element I like. It does what a slasher should do.
Indeed, yeah.
The look of the film.
Slashing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the look of the film.
I will agree. I was actually really surprised. I had remembered just like a really grainy, not very good looking film. I think the film has been restored a little, the version that we watched on Tubi, but I was very surprised.
Yeah. It reminds me of films shot in the 60s. It doesn't look like an 80s movie to me, especially in the beginning. It looks like it almost has that kind of like Christmas Story kind of gloss to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that also helped set the mood for me. So I really liked that. So those are the two. I have the intro down, which I think we talked about with the grandpa. So we were in agreement with that. So hit it back to you. And then I got one more good thing.
Well, so something that I really liked about the movie, we talked about it being a good slasher movie. I don't know how much I agree with that. I mean, there was indeed slashing, but what I did really like about the slasher portion of the movie is that he was a handsome slasher. And I feel like that's something that we don't really get a lot. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head where, there's that whole shot where they reveal a grown-up, like I assume 17 or 18-year-old Billy, where they pan up his blue jeans and the store owner, he's just like, oh man, he looks like he's lusting after him.
I think he's lusting after the fact, like, man, he could work in the warehouse. He could get the job done.
That's a big old boy there. Yeah. So I just thought, like, oh, what an interesting concept to have a slasher that isn't like some type of deformed monster. I assume like Michael Myers isn't deformed. He probably is after so many years of getting smashed in the face, but
it's like a whole bunch of silly putty.
Yeah, but it's just something you don't see a lot, and I really appreciated that.
So I agree. The whole movie is not a slasher. I would say the second half is a slasher. The first half is just this bizarre, like psychological, like setup of just like how he became a series of unfortunate events that
right.
He just
very specific events.
Yeah, that each trigger him deeper into trauma, and then you unleash the trauma. Okay, so something else I liked was the irony. There was so much irony in the film, and a lot of it was very on the nose. But like there was the setup, like they're all drunk at the Christmas party, and the one guy says, by the time this party's over, you'll think you are Santa Claus.
Yeah, right.
Right, and that's literally what happens. Just there's just so many examples of like just really, really funny things like that. But so the thing that I thought was my best in my good column is the music, hands down. I loved the music. So
I went back and forth on that.
Yeah. I'm giving a shout out to Morgan Ames. She wrote a lot of all the songs with words in it. They're all written specifically for the movie.
Okay, so that song, Santa's watching, Santa's creeping,
is written for this movie.
Okay, I kept going back and forth. I'm like, man, this sounds like such a normal Christmas song, but yet kind of creepy. Like I could believe that it was a real song.
And so I loved all her songs, and then I loved just it was like the score was kind of Christmassy, kind of horror movie Halloween-y, and then it also had kind of like a little bit of 80s synth in there.
Yeah.
And I thought the combination just really worked for me.
So I read that a lot of the score was actually improvised while watching the movie.
Really? That is awesome.
So the composer, what did you say your name was?
Oh, so does that? No,
it may have been someone different.
Yeah, the composer's different. This Morgan Ames, she wrote the songs, not the score.
Oh, gotcha. Well, so the score itself, apparently the composer is just like watching the like pre-release cut of it, right? The final edited version of it, and just bah, bah, bah. And then kept layering things on top of that, and And yeah, I don't know. I wanted to say something about the music. I'm glad you brought it up because I went back and forth on it. I'm like, is this good? Is it bad? Does it like fit really well for what it is?
Man, yeah. I'm gonna talk a little more about music when we get to the schlock, but anything else in the good, or do you want to do the bad?
Just to circle back real quick.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that they try to do what I think is like a legit psychological horror thriller. And this is a good transition for me into the bad, because the opening scene, obviously like very traumatic with the grandpa and then the parents getting killed, but then going into him being, I don't know, a couple years older, a few years older in the orphanage in Utah, by the way. This takes place in Utah, which I thought was an interesting choice. I think it would have been a different kind of orphanage. But so they spend this time at the orphanage with the mother superior and show kind of like the psychological damage that he continues to go through there.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like a series of unfortunate events. Yeah, she's the mother superior. She's real kinky and loves punishment and spanking with belts and whatnot.
Yeah, and he's forcing him to confront the trauma. Yeah, I mean,
but it's like deepening it. Like I really appreciated this, but to move into the bad, I feel like that was kind of a lot of wasted time in the movie, just due to the fact that there's really no change in him to when he's an adult. Like I think had we seen him as an adult and the Christmas stuff didn't bother him at all, right, then I think that all the stuff at the orphanage prior would have been worth it. Like when they roll out the Santa Claus banner,
but he's already afraid of Santa.
Yeah, if he would have just looked at it and went, then we go, oh, there's been some sort of change.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that goes into my bad, that it sometimes feels like a public service announcement. It sometimes feels like something you'd watch in school in the 80s or 90s, where it's like it's very heavy-handed and trying to teach you a lesson. Mm-hmm. And it feels like he's trying to comment on society. And it's like, well, if the good nun would have been able to go her way, the trauma would have been healed and he would have been fine. But it just so happens that this is the most unlucky kid on earth. And not only does he see his parents killed by a Santa, then he's beaten by this really mean nun who then forces him to sit on Santa's lap where he punches Santa. Oh man, I laughed so hard. I'd forgot about it. It was so unexpected. He just wham, and Santa falls off.
Really winds up on him.
Oh man, this was like, hands down one of my favorite bits. Just
yeah, and the Santa has like a good line. So I'm like, what the hell is wrong with that kid? Or something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great shot. Which like you said, public service announcement. This is something kind of interesting to think about. There's a lot of, I don't know exactly what it's called, but kind of like bodily autonomy for children nowadays. Like you hear a lot of people talking about, like, if your kid doesn't want to kiss grandma, don't make them kiss grandma. If they don't want to sit on a stranger's lap, don't force them to, right? Which
common sense.
I think makes a lot of sense. But I think maybe back then people were just like, no, shut up. You're going to sit on Santa's lap and we're going to have this horrible experience. And were they commenting on that? Do you think?
I think they were. I think they were like saying, well, society is this weird place that's going to mess you up. And even if they're trying to help, it's just going to deepen your trauma and you're going to be this killer. The other bad
moral
thing,
of the story, don't force your kids to sit on strangers' laps.
Right. Don't get killed in front of them by Santa Claus. Also.
Yeah, don't do that either. That'll really set them off.
I mean, you could have fought back. Okay, for a little kind
of ran over Santa.
So I think another problem I had that I thought in the bad column, because it was the unrated version, just the poor video quality where you could tell they hadn't kept it up, and that's what they had access to, and they cut it in. And I'm like, because I don't remember a lot of that from the original. So I'm like, I think again, if I were to watch this again, I would just not watch the unrated and watch the rated
version. Yeah.
Yep. Other than that, I mean, the middle also seems kind of weird. Structure wise, like after the Christmas party and before he gets toward the orphanage, where he's just kind of like doing some random killing. I have a problem with that because his killing is motivated by people behaving badly in his eyes, and he knew the people at the toy shop, so he knew they were behaving badly. So in his mind, he was justified in killing, but he didn't know those people were having premarital sex on a pool table in that stranger's house.
Right. Yeah. I also wrote that down as well, because I get like, okay, we got some time to fill. It's a slasher. We got to get some slashing in. We got to get the babysitter in there and get her killed. Right. But I honestly thought in the end, like that scene, the babysitter scene, was pretty boring because it just didn't tie in to anything.
The only redeeming thing from that scene is giving the little girl a bloody razor blade. Which,
I called it like the Cindy Lou Who scene, right?
Yep.
Santa.
Perfect.
Yep. And I did think that portion of the scene made it all worth it. But I really wish he would have given her a legit toy instead of the bloody knife. Like I think that would have really sold it, that he's like, I'm Santa, like this is what I'm doing. I'm going out and giving toys to good kids and killing the bad ones.
Well, because he kept asking her, are you sure you've been good? Like he wanted to kill her. He was waiting for a reason.
Yeah. And I think what would have made that scene better would have been if he had just been like peeking in the window.
And then saw it.
And then saw like some motivation as to why he was there. Or had he met those people earlier.
Because you should have shown like 2 or 3 houses where he peeks in and sees wholesome activities and continues on.
Yeah.
And then have the one where he peeks in and sees the pool table. Not even nice.
And I have a problem with his turn, like when he goes crazy. Like I really wish it would have been done differently. One, I wish we would have not seen it coming as much, right? Like I wish he would have been cured, quote unquote cured from his fear of Santa,
and then like re-triggered or something. Right.
And then like I wish that they had either and this is going to be really weird and inappropriate for me to say. I wish they would have leaned into the rape more. So what turns him right is him seeing his coworkers go back and getting handsy, but she doesn't want to.
And that's so interesting because like that makes sense for him to kill her or kill the guy because the guy was clearly sinning, but then she's upset at him.
Correct.
And so he decides to kill her. That's like, it doesn't quite follow.
And so I wish that it would have gone. I feel like they tried to have their cake and eat it too, so that he could get both of them killed. Like I wish that either they would have both been into it and he walked in on them. And since he had a crush on this girl, right, that's like what flips him and he's got to get both of them. Or he doesn't had to have killed the guy out of necessity to help this girl, and then like leaves her alone. But that I would have loved her to stay alive, and she's trying to like stop it in the wake of what he's doing. Yeah, and like maybe she goes to the cops, and but again, so
there's
some better use of character that could have happened.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. We are quickly running out of time, and we have not even started on the schlock. Do we want to go an extra 5 minutes? It's holiday season.
I think we should go extra on this one. It's a holiday special.
Okay. All right. So we'll go a little bit extra. Is there anything else bad that's not like inherently schlocky, or do we want to get to the schlock?
Let me nail down 2 things. One, I wish they would have nailed down the catchphrase either punish or naughty. Like I wish they would have picked one or the other
instead of going back and forth.
Yeah, and the beard, Santa's beard, he has it down the entire time. I wish that it would have been up over his face the entire time, and then potentially not have had to die at the end. Like he snaps out of it the next day. No one knows it was him. And that's how we're going to start getting our sequels, as opposed to our ending stinger with his brother seeing his older brother gunned down.
Naughty. And I'm like, man, that's okay. So one thing about that with that ending and with the brother, the grandpa sets it all up because he's mentally unstable, right? Mm. So I think any bad things that would have happened to these kids would have led him down a similar path of destruction because it was, according to their story, somewhat genetic.
Yeah. They have a history of family mental illness.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Okay. But yeah, that's it, unless we want to get to the schlock.
Yeah, let's schlock it up, baby.
Okay. Okay, I would like to add a new small segment into Schlock that you don't know about. Okay.
All right. What is it?
All right. Well, let's bring up the picture strung up with lights.
Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
I call this segment Schlockality.
Is that a combination of schlock and lethality or schlock and reality?
Schlock and fatality.
Fatality. All right. Schlockality. I dig it.
Yep.
Death by Christmas lights.
Yep. This is my vote for the Schlockality Award for this movie. I loved it. I'm like, he has the strength somehow, or the superhuman Santa strength to hold him up. He's choking him with Christmas lights. It's so appropriate. There are more gory kills in this movie, and there's some really clever kills in this movie. But this was my favorite. So what is your favorite Schlockality?
So this scene, I really feel like it could have been done better. I feel like it was an obligation to have that scene in there. Like, well, it's Christmas time. It's about a Christmas killer. We got to kill somebody with Christmas lights. And I think it could have been, I think it could have been done better. So
it could have been done better, but I loved it.
My vote is going to be for my new segment, which is Schlock Scene Breakdown. And that is it's in between the Christmas party and going to the orphanage. He kills the babysitter. And then we have the teenagers, the 30-year-old teenagers trying to sled down a flat hill. They are fighting. They're in a battle to get this
with like 12
down snow. Well, I can't tell the age of these people. I think they're all supposed to be high schoolers, but
so the two on the sled seemed a lot younger to me than the two bullies.
Well, yeah, so they're like sophomores and the bullies are like 30-year-old seniors.
Sure.
But I mean, like the whole scene, to me, I feel like we could do a show on this scene because through the whole thing, I was like, what is happening here? Who's this really mouthy kid that like is being really mean to his friend? He's like, that's the only virgin you'll ever see. And you have no imagination because you're a dum-dum, or whatever he's saying to him. And then the bullies come and he's like, oh, it's you guys. What the hell? You know, like he's like talking all this smack to him. And then the bully comes and punches him in the stomach and they get him to leave. They steal their sleds and the bullies take the sleds. And the whole idea is that this is supposed to be like this really nice, pristine snow on this really sweet slope. And it's like super flat and packed down. And they like take off super slow in the sleds. And they're like, woo, yeah, all right, yeah, woo. And they just slowly slide down the hill. And so my schlockality for this movie is the bully getting his head chopped off,
and then
the sled
slowly coming into frame,
headless sledman. And then his friend's reaction, which is just to scream like a girl. Like that dude is a scream queen for sure. Like he is losing his mind, which I I probably would too. I don't know if I'd take it very well.
Yeah, like, a friend sleds down a hill and he ends at the bottom headless.
But yeah, that scene, that was just a real show stealer for me. Like I feel like we could just talk about that one for a long time. Piece by piece.
That one worked a little better than the pool table breaking into the house kill scene, because it at least implies that he was watching the bullies be mean to the younger kids.
They hear him earlier.
Right. But, so he's going toward the orphanage and he happens upon these people, and some of them are being mean to others, and he's meting out justice by chopping off heads.
Yep,
but yeah, exactly. I loved that scene, but it's bizarre. The whole middle between him leaving the party and him going to the orphanage is just bizarre filler.
Yeah. They could have tied it to the story a lot better, because they were building a pretty rich story. To be honest,
the first half is very psychological. Okay, so here's the schlock thing I wanted to talk about, and it's the 80s sitcom.
I love that scene.
Yeah, it's a total montage, and it takes place over a couple months, and it's done to this song that they wrote for the film called "Warm Side of the Door," which is like the perfect theme song to some unwritten 80s sitcom. This whole thing seems like the intro to an 80s sitcom.
Right.
Like
there's just a lot of misunderstandings that are
it's just misunderstandings and good old boys and doing fun things and working and playing and meeting new people, and this is happy song. And
there's going to be a lot of like looking at the camera and going, well, what am I going to do about that?
Yep.
Well, what do you know?
Yep. And then there's some, don't do drugs moral at the end of every episode. So
yeah,
I wanted this to be an 80s sitcom where he just worked there, and like 8 seasons in is this movie. He just snaps and starts killing everyone. But until then, it's just this really innocent, like very vanilla 80s sitcom. But that montage made me love this movie.
It turns out Mr. Roper is just this axe murderer.
Right.
Like
that scene.
That sounds like a great show.
I just love that scene. I watched it a couple times, and then you can get the soundtrack. So then I listened to Warm Side of the Door way too many times. Way too many times.
Well, I've had the Santa's watching, Santa's creeping song in my head.
I listened to that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's props to the music in this one. Yeah. So anyway, we should probably start wrapping this one up. I know that we could keep talking forever, and we'll probably keep talking about this once the show itself is done. But Chris, it's your turn to pick a movie. What's our next Christmas movie?
How many Christmas movies do we have left?
2.
So I get one and then you get one?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2.
Part 2? Man, there's like 5 of these things.
We're going back to back.
All right. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2. Next time, you can watch it for free on Tubi. I am Darby Ellis Lewis Wilson. This is Chris Anonymous. Hopefully, don't shoot any Santas because they might be deaf and not be able to hear you. Until next time, we're compelled by Schlock. See you, everybody.
Schlock. Schlock. Schlocky. Schlock.